discussion. Now, the decision over who emerges as the Senate President and Deputy Senate President is still ongoing, as many senators are agitating that the seat be zoned to their area. One of such is the Senate Chief Whip, Orji, Uzor-Kalu, and Senator Kalu-Musa vying for the position of Senate President and Deputy Senate President of the 10th or 10th Senate, respectively. Already, northern stakeholders comprising of senators-elect, traditional and religious leaders are set to convene in a meeting to deliberate over this Kalu-Musa ticket. Although stakeholders from across parties and religious divides have agreed to brainstorm on the endorsement of the Senate Chief Whip and his Niger East senator colleague. Now, some stakeholders still want the North to produce the Senate President. Now, these are issues we'll be talking about. Joining us in the studio to discuss more is Director, Center for International Advanced and Professional Studies, Professor Anthony Killer. It's nice to have you, Prof.
Good to be here. Good morning.
Good morning. All right. Now, the leadership of the Senate, what we are made to understand is that it is just the issue of first amongst equals, where it is the affair of the National Assembly. Yeah. But the way Nigerians have interest in who becomes the Senate President, the Speaker of the House of Reps, Deputy, and all of that, seem to be taking the whole temperature to another level. Why is everyone so involved in the leadership of the National Assembly as it is?
Well, I think you started it very well by stating it that it's a battle amongst equals, where equals choose first amongst them, to speak for them, the Speaker of the House, to preside over their affairs, the President of the Senate. Why have we made it a public affairs? Because too many people are fraudulent for their ambition. To put it very bluntly, because a few people that want to gain the seat of power turn their personal ambition to a general affair. And I think it's unfair, But the problem with that is in the ideal world. The problem is that we cannot go on that corollary because we have built our democracy largely on zoning, on ethnic divide. I personally, Anthony Killer, I am against all these things. I'm not for it. I'm for democracy as intended by the Founding Fathers as a universal individual thing in which the individual convinces the rest of us that is more fit.
Which Founding Fathers?
The original from Tocqueville to others. The idea was intended.
Not Nigerian.
Not Nigerian fathers.
Because we need to get that correctly.
Because we don't have Nigerian Founding
Fathers. No, we don't have. We're hoping you become one. Maybe it's going to be people like you that will become the Founding Fathers of the modern Nigeria.
Yeah, exactly.
and therein, and he's very right. Sam is right. Therein lies the beginning of our problem because the idea of the Founding Fathers that will lay foundations for the kind of democratic society we have is still
So what do we refer to the Wolowos and the Ahmadu Bellos and Nnamdi Azikiwe?
They were the independent fathers. This is not the Nigeria they intended. They intended a regional, federal, Nigeria parliamentary system. This thing that we have started in 1979, and it wasn't allowed to really continue. Now, you see, something must be said. There's a general misconception about the role of the organs of power in the presidential system. It is assumed generally that the legislative arm of government is there to counter the executive. But it's a misconception. People just think that. You counter the executive only on exceptional issues, like constitutional issues, or if you deem that the chief executive, i.e. the president or the governor, is becoming a tyranny or something is wrong. That is when you pause him. I tell you when the legislature can counter the executive. Like when they were doing the Naira note, that madness that came over the country. Those are the extraordinary circumstances in which you counter. Ordinarily, the legislative arm of government in a presidential system is a place where they caucus together with the executive to get things done. It doesn't mean rubber stamp. That's the idea we have. The idea is that as a president, I will go to my like-minded people ideologically that we campaign together, hence presidential
under the platform of your political
party, where we share the manifesto and say these are the things we want to get done, so that when the law comes in there, this is what you need to do. Now, you see where we are is this: in choosing the leaders of the legislative arm of government, President of the Senate, Speaker of the House, there are three things that really we should be looking at, although we make it four in Nigeria. The three things are, one, what benefits the political parties. The political parties should want a Senate and a Senate president that will allow the manifesto to sail through. So that if you are for less tax, you want a house that will pass such bills. If you are for a certain cost of education, whether free or partial, you will want a house that will let that through. That should be what we'll be talking about. The elected executive, be it president, be it governor, in this state president, should be looking for a Senate president and a Senate and a House, generally, that will be able to work with him to make sure his own executive manifesto, to which, by the way, this president, when the president comes in, will be the most voted person in the country. So actually, that's the one that carries everybody's vote, to say, this vote that millions of people, unlike you, that you have maybe, a couple of million to come in, each one of you, I come in with...
Most of them don't have...
But no one's going to have a million.
Yeah, they don't have up to a million.
They don't have up to a million.
I come in with double-digit million to execute my 12 plans. So that allow me to do that. That's what the president-elect wants. Now, the country, the rest of us, the whole citizen, what we want is a representative in that house that will be able to take our peculiarity of our constituency to them, to say, in my area, so I am a Lagos constituent, for example, what matters to me is more of city matters, cosmopolitan matters, metropolitan matters, not rural areas. But my cousin, because I have a peculiar family, but my cousin who is somewhere in Zamfara has more issues, rural issues to deal with. So you see that even though we are families, we're both killers, our interests differ. And citizens should reason that way, so that the president representing somebody from Killer Village in Abeokuta or in Lagos, in Ekpe, will be different from somebody from Killer Village in the core north. So that their issues are different, and that is what we want. So citizens want legislator and a Senate president that can represent their core issues. Party wants somebody that can allow them carry their program so they can win next time. Not so that when you go and campaign with president or a house that's done badly, you're struggling to separate yourself, and the president or the governor wants a house that will allow him to implement his program.
Well, we have made a good point by saying that the job of the legislature is not to be adversarial.
No.
But you know that we also have a tradition of, not only in Nigeria, generally in parliamentary history,
Yes.
we have a tradition of rubber stamp legislatures and also adversarial legislatures. Even a place like United States,
Yes.
you had the adversarial relationship between the Obama years, between the Republican caucus
Yes.
against Obama. In fact, Mitch McConnell held an inaugural meeting of his colleagues and
How
said,
do we make
our
it fail?
job is to make
Make
sure
it
that
fail.
this man fails.
Yeah.
You know that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then you also have the tradition of loyal opposition.
Yes.
You know, where my job is to support you, but as a loyal opposition, I mean, I belong to your party, but when you go wrong, I will hold you to account. That's loyal opposition. I'm not attacking you because I want to bring you down.
Yes.
I'm just attacking you because I want to make you better.
Absolutely.
And it creates tension between them because nobody wants to be criticized, but they can work together with a sense of understanding. And we've seen that in the Buhari, the second term with Gwajabiamila and Lawan, where in some cases they turned back the bills.
Some of the
and
bills,
said, no, this bill we cannot accept. Or during the time of NSAS, Gbaja stood and said, well,
that's what he said. Especially Gbajabiamila, especially the speaker. Lawan was a bit...
Yeah.
He wasn't such sort of strong character. He was a bit more malleable.
Yes.
I think it's his nature. I don't know if it's his deeds.
But the institution of the Senate itself stood in a matter of ways to say, okay, we can't get this.
Allow this to go through.
We can't get this done. Or even spoke to them, invited members of the legislature, of the government, and said, you have to come and answer these questions.
Yes.
These are going on in this country. Come and explain.
And it must be done.
Yes.
I think two things we as a people, we need to look for two things. One is that more caucusing amongst the party. Because really, you have an opposition and you have a majority in Parliament. And if there shouldn't be, I shudder and sometimes I even cringe when I see this idea that the president is sending a bill blindly to the legislative arm of government. It shouldn't happen. We shouldn't be wasting time. Before you send the bill, you have and I advise the incoming government to have one, an interparliamentary minister or officer, in which you deal with.
They usually have.
They have.
Well, they tend to be sleeping. Maybe they should put
have.
somebody who's more awake. Hopefully, they put somebody who's dynamic, who takes the job seriously,
Yes.
and gets results. So that you go there way before presenting
And advise
the bill.
them. I can't.
This is what we want.
I say I can't take this to the legislature
Because
It is
I already
already-
know what
Yeah.
they're thinking.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know
So
what
that
they're
they save
thinking,
the
yeah.
time of the citizens and they save tension by going through it so that when the bill goes through, it sails through. Where there are debate, they'll be robust and they'll be clear to see. That is one of the things. But to the ethnic issue that people are bringing on, it is amazing that a vote that will be done by 109 people inside the room is being discussed by thousands of people outside the room. That is kind of anomaly we bring. I think now that the elections are over, citizens should take a step back and allow these people to test themselves. Because in an election of equals, where you become first among equals, your first hurdle is to be able to convince your peers, not put pressure on them from outsiders. Is to be able to make phone calls, send messages, call them, and say, I want it. I like the fact that we have ambitious people coming out who are declaring. I say Kalu, I say Akpabio, who have really come out to say, I want to do it. This is a new trend in Nigerian politics. Normally, people shy quietly. You know, it's the what's Madam Fudio principle of give power to the unwilling. Yeah. That's our way. But I think this is a modern way. It's like people going to post things on Facebook or social media. They want to be liked.
Wow. Sarake wanted it and gathered these people and
got it overnight.
wanted a coup.
Exactly. That's another way to do it. That's another way to do it.
All right, let's go on a short break. We'll be right back to continue on this. Stay with us on TVC Breakfast.